I want to start this off by asking you to do something a little different. I want you to close your eyes just for a second. Unless you're driving, in which case, please keep them open. But imagine you're standing in a clearing in an ancient forest. It's dusk. The light is fading, the shadows are stretching out, and out of the tree line steps a figure.
A silhouette, that is. I mean, it's instantly recognizable.
Exactly. From the waist up, it's a man. Broad chest, maybe a beard, holding a crude bow. But where his legs should be, where his hips should be, there is the heaving, muscular body of a horse. 4 legs, hooves pawing at the earth, a tail flicking back and forth.
The centaur.
The centaur. It is, I would argue, the most iconic creature in the entire fantasy canon. You see it in the night sky as Sagittarius. You see it in Harry Potter as the wise, stargazing Firenze in the Forbidden Forest.
Oh, absolutely. Narnia. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It really is the ultimate hybrid, the perfect fusion of man and beast.
But here is the problem. And this is exactly why I wanted to do this specific deep dive today. We treat the centaur like it's just, well, like it's furniture in the fantasy room. It's just the horse guy. We take it for granted. But when you actually go back to the source material, and I'm talking about Pindar, Ovid, the visual art from the archaic period.
Right.
The centaur isn't just a cool monster design. It is a profound, messy, and frankly, a pretty disturbing symbol of the human condition.
It's a collision. It really is. It's where biology meets psychology.
And optical illusions.
And yes, where history meets optical illusions.
We have a stack of notes here that covers everything from what I can only describe as cloud sex.
Yes.
We will get to that, I promise, to the evolutionary biology of why a centaur is physically impossible. And let me tell you, the biology argument is just hilarious.
We also have to talk about the violence. Because the modern version we have, the wise teacher, the noble astronomer, that's a bit of a rehabilitation. It's a PR makeover, really. The original centaurs, they were nightmares. They were the embodiment of everything the Greeks feared.
So that is the mission today. We're going to deconstruct the centaur. We're going to look at the myths, the history, and the art to figure out why the Greeks invented a creature that shouldn't exist, and why we are still obsessed with it 3,000 years later.
Sounds like a plan. So where do we begin?
We have to start with the origin. And I don't mean the evolutionary origin, I mean the myth. Because usually Greek monsters have a pretty straightforward lineage. You know, a kid that meets Typhon, they have a bad date, boom, you get a monster. But the centaur.
Oh, no.
The centaur's origin story reads like a total fever dream.
It really does. It's a soap opera that hinges on a very specific, very Greek concept. Hubris.
And a cloud.
And a literal cloud. This is the story of Ixion.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is the standard origin story, but it is anything but standard. So we have this guy, Ixion. He is the king of the Lapiths.
Right.
Now, for you listening, if you're not up on your Bronze Age tribes, the Lapiths are a human tribe in Thessaly. Ixion is their king. And he's a piece of work.
That is putting it mildly. Ixion is a figure of immense transgression. I mean, he is the first human to spill kindred blood in all of Greek mythology.
He murdered his father-in-law.
He murdered his father-in-law to avoid paying a bride price. In any civilized society, he would be executed or exiled. He is a total social pariah.
But Zeus, being Zeus, decides to intervene. Maybe he's bored, maybe he pities him. But Zeus decides to purify Ixion. He invites him to Olympus, to the home of the gods.
This is the ultimate VIP pass. Think about it. You just murdered a family member, you are shunned by all of humanity, and the king of the gods invites you up for dinner. It is a test of character, a huge one.
And how does Ixion repay this incredible hospitality? Does he say, "Thank you, Zeus"? Does he sit quietly and eat his ambrosia? No.
No. He decides to hit on the hostess. He develops a lust for Hera, Zeus's wife.
This is the definition of a death wish. You do not hit on the queen of the gods. I mean, just from a pure survival standpoint, that is a terrible idea.
It's a violation of xenia, or guest friendship, which is the foundational law of Greek society. You don't harm your host, and you certainly don't try to sleep with his wife.
But Zeus doesn't just smite him with a thunderbolt immediately. He gets creative.
He does. He sets a trap.
An elaborate one.
He fashions a cloud, a nebula, into the perfect shape of Hera. He creates a doppelganger made of water vapor and air. And he names her Nephele.
Nephele, which literally translates to cloud.
Precisely. Zeus places this cloud clone in a place where Ixion can find her, and Ixion falls for it. Hook, line, and sinker. He is so blinded by his own arrogance, his hubris, that he cannot distinguish between the divine reality and a weather phenomenon.
He sleeps with the cloud. I have to pause here.
Yeah.
Conceptually, this is just, it's wild. A man having intercourse with a cloud.
It's symbolic of delusion. He thinks he's touching divinity, but he is grasping at mist. He's embracing nothingness. And from this union, this act of sacrilege and delusion, something is born.
Now, the sources vary a bit here, right? Some say the centaurs just rain down.
They do. In some versions, they fall from the cloud like rain, which is a terrifying image. But the more standard genealogy, the one you find in Pindar, is that Nephili gives birth to a son named Centaurus.
Just a guy, not a horseman yet.
Just a man. But a deformed, solitary figure. Pindar describes him as having no honor among men or gods. He's an outcast, he doesn't fit in Olympus, he doesn't fit in the human world, and this outcast, Centaurus, wanders into the region of Magnesia, specifically near Mount Popelin, and there he encounters the Magnesian mares.
Wild horses.
Exactly, and he mates with them.
Okay, so we go from cloud sex to bestiality. The Greeks really did not pull any punches with this one.
They did not, and from that cross-species union, the race of centaurs is born.
So let's track the DNA here, just to be crystal clear. The centaur is the grandchild of a murderer and a cloud, and the child of a social outcast and a wild animal.
It's a pedigree of chaos, and that is the key takeaway from this origin. They are born from a violation of social norms, Ixion hitting on Hera, and a violation of natural laws, cloud, human, horse. They are illegitimate in every single sense of the word. They represent everything that doesn't belong.
That explains so much about their behavior, which we'll definitely get to. But looking at the notes, this isn't the only origin story. The Greeks seemingly couldn't decide where these things came from. There's the Cyprian variation.
Yes, this comes from Nonnus, who was a much later poet. And this one shifts the geography to the island of Cyprus. In this version, it's not Ixion who is lustful, it's Zeus.
The common theme in Greek mythology. It was Zeus's fault.
Indeed. Zeus is pursuing Aphrodite, the goddess of love, but she keeps evading him. She's playing hard to get, or she's just not interested. Zeus is frustrated, pent up, and he spills his seed on the ground of Cyprus.
He ejaculates on the dirt.
To put it bluntly, yes. And the earth, Gaia, receives this divine seed and produces a whole tribe of centaurs. But, and this is a crucial detail for visualizing these creatures, these Cyprian centaurs are described differently. They have horns.
Bull horns.
Yes, bull-horned or ox-horned centaurs.
Wow, that completely changes the mental image. Now you've got a Minotaur-Centaur mashup. It sounds way more demonic.
It speaks to the fertility aspect. The bull is a symbol of raw, masculine earth power in the Mediterranean. By giving them horns, the myth links them closer to the earth and to brute strength rather than just the speed of the horse. It makes them heavier, more grounded creatures.
There is a third group here in the source list that I'd never even heard of before. The Lamian Fears.
This is a deep cut. Fears is actually an Aeolic Greek dialect word for beast, and it was often used to refer to centaurs. These particular ones were originally daimons, rustic spirits of the Lamos River.
So they started as river spirits, like water nymphs or something.
Similar but male. And they had a very specific job. Zeus entrusted them with guarding the infant Dionysus.
Dionysus, the god of wine. This feels like massive foreshadowing.
It absolutely is. Dionysus is the god of madness, ecstasy, wine. Hera, who hates all of Zeus's illegitimate children, found out these spirits were protecting Dionysus. In her rage, she transformed them. She warped these river spirits into ox-horned centaurs.
So they became monsters because of their service to the wine god. That's actually kind of tragic. They were just doing their job.
And they stayed with him. In the Dionysica, these centaurs are part of Dionysus's army. They campaign with him against India. They are his shock troops.
It's interesting because in the Ixion story, they are enemies of civilization. But here, they are loyal retainers to a god. A chaotic god, sure, but still a god.
It shows that the Greeks view them as a force of nature. Nature can be destructive or it can be channeled. Dionysus channels that madness.
Okay, so we have cloud babies, ground spill accidents, and cursed river spirits. That's the mythology. But let's put on our historian hats for a second, because clearly centaurs do not exist. Biology just doesn't work that way. So where did the Greeks actually get this idea?
This brings us to what historians call the writer theory. And it is one of the most compelling explanations for a mythological creature because it relies on human perception.
The optical illusion.
Right. You have to put yourself in the shoes of a Bronze Age Greek, specifically a Minoan or early Mycenaean. You know what a horse is. But you use horses for chariots. You hitch them to wagons. You do not sit on them.
Riding wasn't really a thing.
Not in the same way. Effective cavalry riding requires tack, bit control, a certain cultural adaptation. It came from the steppes, from the nomads. So Imagine you are a farmer in Thessaly. You look toward the horizon, the heat is shimmering, and down from the mountains comes a tribe of Scythians or Proto-Thracians. They are mounted.
And you've never seen a human on a horse before in your life.
Never. And from a distance, your brain tries to make sense of the silhouette. You see a human torso, but it moves with the speed and gait of a horse. You don't see a seam, you don't see a separation, you see one single creature.
It's like when you see something in the corner of your eye and your brain just fills in the gaps.
Precisely. It's a cognitive gap. Your brain says that is a four-legged creature with a human head.
And we know this happens because we have a historical control group. This isn't just speculation.
No, we have the Aztecs.
Tell us about that. That's fascinating.
When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in Mexico in the 16th century, Bernal Diaz del Castillo wrote about the initial encounters. The Aztecs had no horses. They had never seen large beasts of burden. When they saw the Spanish cavalry charging, they initially thought the horse and rider were a single, terrifying beast.
That is just incredible. Two cultures separated by thousands of years and an entire ocean, making the exact same visual error.
It really validates the theory. It suggests that the centaur isn't just a Greek invention. It's a universal human response to the technology of horse riding. It's what happens when a non-riding culture meets a riding culture for the first time.
It makes you wonder what else in mythology is just misunderstood technology. But I want to look at the word itself. Centaur. Centauros. Does the linguistics back this up?
It gets a little murky here, but there are some fascinating threads. The suffix tauros is easy. It means bull.
Bull, not horse. That's weird.
Correct, which is very weird for a horseman. But look at the prefix, ken or kentine. It means to pierce or to goad.
The bull piercer.
Or the bull goaders. The theory is that these mounted nomads were perhaps cattle herders. They were the guys on horses who rounded up the bulls. Or maybe they were mounted archers who hunted bulls.
So if you saw a guy on a horse shooting a bull, you might just call him a bull killer. And eventually, that name sticks to the monster you think you saw.
Exactly. Here come the bull killers. And over time, the name Centauros becomes synonymous with the creature itself.
But to be fair to the academic debate, I have to mention Georges Dumézil. He hated the optical illusion theory. He thought it was too simple.
Dumézil was all about the deep structures of Indo-European culture. He looked at the Indian Gandharva.
Gandharva, those are spirits, right?
Nature spirits in Hindu mythology, often associated with horses, music, and medicine. Dumézil argued that this wasn't about seeing a guy on a horse. It was about a shared ancient religious cult, a Menerbund, a fraternal order of warriors who wore horse masks or identified spiritually with the horse.
So instead of I saw a monster, it's more like I remember the old horse cult.
Yes, a dimly remembered totem from the deep Indo-European past. It adds a layer of spiritual depth to them rather than just them being a visual mistake. It suggests the centaur is a memory of a time when men tried to become horses.
I like that. It gives them a culture. But whether they're a cult memory or an optical illusion, once the Greeks had the idea of the centaur, they had to deal with the reality of it.
Yeah.
And by reality, I mean the biology.
Ah, yes. The impossible creature.
This is my favorite part of the research notes. The Roman philosopher Lucretius. He was a wet blanket in the absolute best possible way.
Lucretius was a rigid materialist. He wrote On the Nature of Things in the 1st century BC, and he dedicates a whole section to proving that centaurs cannot exist. Not because of magic, but because of developmental biology.
He breaks down the life cycle. Walk us through this. It's brilliant.
Okay, let's take a horse. At age 3, a horse is an adult. It can run at full speed, it can breed, it has reached its physical peak.
Right. It's a powerful, mature animal.
Now take a human. At age 3, what are they doing?
They're waddling, they're babbling, they probably need a nap. They are definitely drinking from a juice box.
Exactly. So Lucretius asks us to imagine a 3-year-old centaur. The lower half, the horse half, is ready to gallop, fight, and mate. It is bursting with adult hormones and energy. But the upper half, the human torso, is a toddler.
So you'd have a massive stallion body being steered by a baby who wants a pacifier.
It's a biological mismatch. The horse half would be dragging the infant human half into all sorts of dangerous situations. The brain couldn't possibly control the body. And it gets even worse at the other end of life.
The geriatric phase.
Horses live, 25, 30 years? Humans live to 70 or 80. So when the human half is 30, in the prime of life, entering the peak of their career, the horse half is dying of old age.
So you're a 30-year-old warrior, ready for battle, but your legs have arthritis and your heart is failing.
Lucretius argues that nature would never permit such a creature to survive. The distinct blooming times of the two species make a hybrid impossible. It's a beautifully logical argument.
It's such a practical, logical takedown.
Yeah.
Sorry, the puberty schedules just don't align. But despite Lucretius, the Greeks kept telling the stories. They didn't care about the biology. Why? What did the centaur give them symbolically?
It gave them a way to talk about liminality.
Liminality, that's a buzzword. Define it for the listener.
It comes from the Latin limen, which means threshold. A liminal being is something that stands in the doorway between two worlds. The centaur is the ultimate liminal figure because it is the border between civilization and barbarism.
The human half and the horse half.
Correct. The human half represents logic, law, speech, religion, everything the Greeks valued as civilized. The horse half represents lust, violence, appetite, instinct, the beast within.
So every single centaur is just walking around with an internal civil war happening in its own body.
And that is why they are so fascinating. They are a mirror for us. We all feel that tension, the desire to act on impulse versus the need to follow social rules. The centaur just makes that internal struggle external and visible. It asks, are you the man or are you the horse?
And nowhere is that struggle more obvious and more violent than in the Centauromachy.
The Battle of the Centaurs. This is the defining moment for the species. If you know one story about centaurs, it's probably this one.
Set the scene for us, because this all starts as a party.
It's a wedding, the wedding of Pirithous, king of the Lapith.
And remember, the centaurs are related to the Lapiths through Ixion. They are cousins, so they get an invite.
A very big mistake. But yes, the centaurs attend the wedding feast. Now you have to understand, in some myths, centaurs only drink milk or water. They are creatures of nature, they aren't used to fermented alcohol. But at the wedding, the wine is flowing.
And the rule of Greek weddings is apparently, don't let the cousins near the open bar.
They drink the unmixed wine, the scent of it, the sugar, the alcohol, it hits them hard. Combined with the presence of the women, specifically the bride, Hippodamia, it triggers that animal side. The horse half takes over, the human reason evaporates.
It goes from a celebration to a riot instantly.
One of the centaurs, Eurysician, who's the drunkest of them all, grabs the bride and tries to drag her off. The others follow suit, grabbing women and young boys. It is a mass abduction, a violation of the sanctuary of marriage.
This is the nightmare scenario for the Greeks. It's the destruction of order. It's Xenia being violated all over again.
But fortunately, there's a hero in the room. Theseus, the founder of Athens, is a guest.
Theseus is like the bouncer you want at every party.
He jumps into the fray. The Lapiths rally. And what ensues is a brutal close-quarters brawl. They are using everything as weapons, heavy mixing balls, table legs, antlers, rocks. It's not a duel, it's a bar fight on a mythical scale.
There is one specific death in this battle that is just haunting. The death of Caeneus.
Caeneus was a Lapith hero who was invulnerable to weapons. You couldn't cut him, you couldn't stab him.
So how do the centaurs deal with a guy they can't stab?
They use brute force. They realize their swords are useless, so they grab huge boulders and pine tree trunks. They surround him and just pile them on top of him.
They bury him alive.
They hammer him into the earth. Ovid describes it so vividly. He is suffocated and crushed by the weight of the wood and stone. It shows the centaur's nature. They don't fence. They don't use technique. They crush. They use the earth itself as a weapon.
That image hammering a hero into the ground like a nail is visceral. And this battle, the Centauromachy, it wasn't just a story. It was political propaganda, wasn't it?
Absolutely. If you go to the British Museum today and look at the Elgin marbles, the metopes from the Parthenon, you are looking at this battle.
Why put a wedding brawl on the holiest temple in Athens?
Because to the Athenians, this wasn't just about horsemen, it was an allegory for the Persian Wars. The Athenians saw themselves as the Lapiths, rational, democratic, civilized. They saw the Persians as the centaurs, chaotic, Eastern, barbarian, ruled by impulse.
So by carving the centaurs, getting their butts kicked, they were saying, this is what we do to barbarians.
It's a monument to the victory of reason over chaos. It is the central pillar of their identity.
But let's look at the reason side of the centaurs for a moment, because not all of them are wedding crashers. We have to talk about Chiron.
The great exception, the good centaur.
Why is he so different? Why is he the wise teacher while everyone else is a drunken rioter?
Well, his lineage is different. He isn't the son of Ixion and the cloud. He is the son of Cronus, the Titan and Philyra, a nymph.
Cronus, as in Zeus's dad.
The very same. Cronus turned himself into a horse to hide from his wife, Rhea, while he was with Philyra. So Chiron is a Titan-horse hybrid, not a human-horse hybrid.
So he's basically royalty.
He is immortal. He is wise. He is the tutor of heroes. Achilles, Jason, Asclepius, they were all sent to boarding school with Chiron in his cave on Mount Pelion.
He teaches them medicine, music, hunting. He represents the positive side of that nature connection.
If the other centaurs represent nature as a destructive flood, Chiron represents nature as a garden, controlled, cultivated, beneficial. He shows that the animal nature can be tamed.
It's the noble savage trope thousands of years early.
In a way, yes, but even Chiron meets a tragic end. He is wounded by Heracles by accident with a poisoned arrow. Because he is immortal, he cannot die, but the poison causes him agonizing, unending pain. Eventually, he trades his immortality to Prometheus just to be allowed to die and escape it.
That's remarkably sad. The wisest of them all ends up as collateral damage.
It reinforces that the existence of the centaur is fundamentally tragic. They don't fit in the world, even the good ones.
Speaking of fitting in, let's talk about their appearance again. Because while we have these standard look in our heads, art historians have classified some really weird variations.
Art history loves a classification system. We have Class A, B, and C.
Break them down for us.
Class A is what you know. Human torso emerging from the horse's withers. It's aesthetically pleasing. It allows for the human part to rotate, to use a bow.
The classic.
And then there is Class B. This was an early, archaic experiment, and it is unfortunate. Imagine a fully formed human, man naked, standing on two legs.
Okay.
Now, glue the hindquarters of a horse to his lower back.
Wait, so he has human legs and horseback legs? 6 limbs.
Yes. He's essentially dragging a horse body behind him like a trailer, or like he's wearing a very cumbersome costume.
That sounds incredibly awkward. How does he even run?
Poorly, I imagine. The front legs are human knees, the back legs are horse hocks, the biomechanics are a total disaster. It's no wonder this style died out. It just looks silly.
In Class C.
Class C is rare. It's where the front legs are human, but they end in hooves. It's a transitional form. But eventually, the artist realized that Class A, the standard integration, allowed for the most dynamism in battle scenes.
It allowed him to rear up. It looked powerful.
Exactly.
Now, I have to ask, we talk about the men constantly. Were there female centaurs? Or is this a Smurf village situation?
For a long time, it was a Smurf village. The early myths in art are exclusively male. They are a brotherhood of monsters. But later antiquity softened. The Roman poet Ovid gives us a name. Hylanome.
Tell us about her.
She is a female centaur, described as beautiful or as beautiful as a horse human can be. She combs her hair with a comb made of boxwood. She decks herself in rosemary and violets.
She's civilized. She cares about her appearance.
She is in love with Silurus, a beautiful male centaur. They go to that fateful wedding together, and when Silurus is killed by a javelin, Hylanome catches him as he falls. She tries to keep the warmth in his body, and when he dies, she takes the javelin that killed him and throws herself onto it.
Romeo and Juliet with hooves.
It introduces romance and pathos to a species that was previously just about rape and pillage. By the Roman era, you start seeing mosaics of centaur families, mom, dad, and baby centaurs. They become a people rather than just monsters.
It's interesting how we domesticate monsters over time. We make them like us. We want them to have families.
We do, and we see this archetype pop up globally, too. It's not just Greece.
Who else has horsemen?
India has the Kanaras, but in some depictions they are the reverse.
Reverse.
A human body with a horse's head.
Oh, that is infinitely more disturbing. That's BoJack Horseman territory.
It evokes a different feeling, doesn't it? The human face allows for empathy. The horse face is alien. Then you have the Russian polkan, which is a centaur-like creature, sometimes half-dog, that evolved from Italian chivalric poems traveling east. It shows that the idea of the hybrid is sticky, it travels.
Let's jump forward. Rome falls, the temples are ruined, but the centaur survives. Where does he go in the Middle Ages?
He goes to hell. Literally. Dante Alighieri was a master of repurposing classical mythology for Christian theology. In the Inferno, he places the centaurs in the seventh circle.
The circle of violence?
Appropriate, right? They guard the Phlegathon, the river of boiling blood.
I love Dante's punishments.
Yeah.
So you have violent sinners boiling in blood.
And the centaurs patrol the banks. They are led by Chiron. They're armed with bows. Their job is to ensure that the sinners stay submerged at the correct level. If a tyrant tries to lift his head out of the boiling blood to cool off, a centaur shoots him in the face with an arrow.
It's perfect casting. Dante takes their violent nature, remember the wedding, and harnesses it for divine justice. They are the prison guards of the violent.
It also shows that Dante respected them. He doesn't treat them as mindless demons. He has Virgil talk to Chiron respectfully. They are intelligent guardians.
But then we hit the modern era, and the image shifts again. C.S. Lewis,
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling. The centaur becomes stuffy.
They become the professor. I think it goes back to Chiron. Modern fantasy authors need a vehicle for ancient Earth wisdom. They need a character who is connected to the stars and the forest, but who can also speak in riddles. The centaur fits that perfectly. They aren't drunken rioters anymore. They are stargazers.
Mars is bright tonight.
Exactly. They become distant, noble, slightly arrogant, and intellectual.
Except for Percy Jackson.
Rick Riordan is the exception. He brings back the party ponies. He remembers the original myths, that Dionysus connection. His centaurs are fierce, chaotic, and fun. He captures the wildness that J.K. Rowling polishes off.
And then there's the melancholy we have to mention. John Updike, the centaur.
A beautiful, sad novel. Updike takes the myth of Chiron and transplants it to a high school in Pennsylvania in 1947. The protagonist is a science teacher named George Coldwell.
And he is the centaur.
Metaphorically. He is a man crushed by the mundane world, by his students, by the system, but he sacrifices himself. He gives up his happiness for his son. Updike uses that wounded healer aspect of Chiron to explore modern suburban sacrifice.
It's amazing elasticity. You can use the same creature to represent a drunken brawl, a guardian of hell, and a depressed science teacher.
That's the power of the hybrid, because it contains multitudes. It contains the high and the low.
So we've tracked them from the cloud to the classroom. We've dissected their biology and their battles.
Mm-hmm.
What is the big takeaway here? When you see a centaur next time, what should you think?
You should think about the line.
The line.
The line where the human torso meets the horse body. That's... Because that is the line inside all of us. The centaur asks a fundamental question. Are you defined by your higher reasoning, your head, your heart, your laws? Or are you defined by your animal instincts, your gut, your lust, your rage?
We are all hybrids.
We are all centaurs. We are all trying to keep the horse from crashing the wedding. Sometimes we succeed, like Chiron. Sometimes we fail, like the mob.
That is a heavy thought. But I want to leave you with one final image. Something from the notes that I found genuinely funny and kind of profound.
The centaur from Volos.
Yes. So at the University of Tennessee, in the Hodges Library, there is a display case. Inside, there is a skeleton, a full articulated skeleton of a centaur.
It's a work of art, obviously, by a man named Bill Willers.
It's a human skeleton fused to a pony skeleton. It looks incredibly real. And the title of the exhibit is, Do You Believe in Centaurs?
It was designed to test students, to make them question academic authority. Just because it's in a glass case in a library doesn't mean it's true.
But here's the thing. When you stand in front of it, part of you wants it to be real. You look at the rib cage, the way the spine connects, and you think, maybe.
That is the allure of the myth. We want the world to be stranger than it is. We want the boundaries of reality to be porous.
So next time you're in a library or a museum or just looking up at Sagittarius, question your eyes, but also appreciate the monster because he's just a reflection of us.
Indeed.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye.